Hello everybody, welcome to the final part here now of how I make my music videos. Now this one is going to be the most advanced part by far, I think. This is going to be using ComfyUI and Ipiv's image morpher. So the first thing I'm doing is I'm going to once again just make some kind of random scenes here. The only difference is that this time I'm just going to render them square. I could still use the same ones that I already made, and I might, but when you're using the workflow that I'm going to be showing next, it's going to change them into a square anyway. So the stuff on the edges is just going to be extra. It's not going to be necessary or figure into it. And the image itself is not going to stay as it is anyway. It's just going to kind of morph it. So right now I'm basically just making some square images just to throw some more in there, and then I will be right back inside the ComfyUI interface and we will go from there. Okay, everybody, now before we start, I just want to point something out. This is where we are going to download the workflow for this program, which as you can see is called Ipiv's Morph, Image to Vid, Animate, Diff, etc., etc. So I just want to show you there are two different versions actually, and I'm going to post a link to this version, but you can just click on it here and change back. So this version uses the hypermodel and is a lot faster. And I would recommend getting this. At first I was not getting as good of results, but after using it for a while, I'm getting just as good of results as with this original one, and it's a lot quicker. You can also use this one if you want. What I'm going to show you will allow you to use either one. So anyways, when you click on it, make sure that you download the one you want because it will change depending on if you're here or here. So I'm going to go ahead and download this and go and fire up ComfyUI. Now also on this page, it also has some links for some of the masks that I'm using, and you can get those here. These give you some extra masks, and some of those are pretty cool. There's also there's one with a spiral, I think, in one of the posted ones. But here also are some of the models. You can get the models and things here. But I'm going to go ahead now and go ahead and start it up, and I will meet you in ComfyUI, and we will get started on this. Okay, so I have the workflow here, and I'm going to load this up from scratch, so I will be seeing it just as you are. Okay, so here is our workflow. Now this does definitely look daunting, but don't let it worry you. There's not a whole lot in here you actually need to adjust. So the first thing you want is you will need to load a checkpoint. So if you're running it locally, you'll have to have that in your checkpoint file, but you just need a 1.5 absolute reality one. And okay, and then for these, you'll just want to make sure you have these models downloaded. I don't need to change any of these. And same thing with this, you can just keep this as it is, I believe, yeah. And let me show you now where you will need to do the changes here for our video. So this is the important part here. This is our images. So we're going to want to change these. This is where we're going to upload our 4 images. So what this is going to do is morph between 4 different images. Now I'd recommend using squares. It doesn't matter though, you can use any size you want, but it will crop them down to squares if they aren't squares, or even less actually, it'll crop it down a little more. So I'm going to go ahead and load up some of those images that I made here. And here it is, here are my images. And so I made a few more images, some square ones here, and I'm going to go ahead and load this one up. I thought that one was kind of cool. And then something else I'm going to do just to kind of tie it into the video I've already made is throw in one image of the avatar that I used for the lip sync. And then we pick 2 more. And these usually, they don't have to look like each other. Sometimes you'll get better results if you use stuff that kind of can reasonably morph into the other, but it doesn't really matter too much. So I'm just picking kind of weird abstract stuff here for this crazy video. And let's go ahead and let's just go to this guy here in the bar, which I also made a video out of. So that'll tie it in. And then let's just put this weird thing here on the end for the heck of it. Okay, so now we have our 4 videos. It might take a little while to update there, but it'll pop up. Now let me show you the next important things here. Now you can just leave this as it is. This is just the mask file, which is just a circle. If you do want to download some of those extra masks, what I did was I just I put a folder in, and I am using Google Colab here. But so here's the original one, and so I'll just start with that just to kind of keep it the same. But I'm just going to copy it. You don't need to. You can just have it use the web link. I'm just doing this just because I like to do that. Okay, so I'm just going to use that just for the heck of it because I'm used to it. So let me show you the other thing here. There are two places here that are going to determine the resolution. You can just run it as is, and it's going to do a iPhone resolution kind of, where it's taller than it is wide. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do that a little bit opposite. Now he also recommends on higher VRAM cards. So I'm using Google Colab so I can crank it up as high as I want because I got a subscription. But I'm just using the basic, um, what is it? Anyways, I'm only using 1.84 credits an hour, and I can do probably 2 or 3 videos an hour. So Google Colab is still, this is just $10 a month for the basic subscription. So I'm still getting a lot of use at it now, and I wish it was still on the non-credits, but I'm getting my money's worth, I feel, out of it. So anyways, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to reverse this, and I'm going to crank this up a little. So I'm going to have it be 568 wide by 320 by 320. So this will give me a wide screen resolution instead of the tall screen resolution. And let me show you the other part where it's going to determine our resolution. That is going to be in this upscaler here. This is the upscale model where it will upscale it when it's done. And you don't have to upscale it. You can skip it, but I find you get better results with it. So I'm going to just go ahead and switch these from 1920 to 1080. I'm just going to reverse these. Okay, and really you can just run it too without adjusting anything there. So I'm going to show you a couple of other things that are going to be important. So the first thing is don't run it as is though. Don't run the upscaler and everything. First, you want to see how your animation looks. So I'm going to go ahead and bypass all these nodes and hit bypass group nodes, and then I'm going to bypass these 3 here on the edge. Now I always, there's a color correct here that is in this version that wasn't in the other one. I always bypass this too because I can just do this in post edit. I don't want to use up my compute time here in Google Colab doing that. So right now, this is kind of the basics you need. You need to have at least this and this enabled to run it, and this will make a video and give us a good idea of what it's going to look like. Now here is our samplers and everything too. Now I'm just going to go ahead and change this to Euler A. And remember, we're using the 1.5 stable diffusion model. So if you're used to the samplers and everything for that, which I am, you will know this. And I'm also going to crank up the steps just a little bit to 18 and 16. Okay, I'll make that 14. Okay, and that really should be about all that I'm going to do here, I think. Yeah, and here's the seed. If you want to change the seed or keep track of the seed, you can do it there. Let me go ahead and run this and make sure I've got all my models and everything. Like I said, I'm running this for the first time just like you will be. So now I'm just going to go ahead and cue the prompt, and we'll see if this is set up all right or if I need to do anything else. Okay, and while I'm waiting for that to render too, I just thought I would show you some of the masks here. So this is the original one. This is the one that that it links to from that link, and you'll see it's just a slowly moving forward circles, and it loops. That's how we get the looping for it. Let me go ahead and start it there with looping. And so that's the original, and this one is actually one of the best ones. And then there's some other ones that were posted on the site. Here's a couple of them, and let me see. Here's some. Some of them are just kind of the same thing, but with squares. This one, as you can see, kind of scrolls, and that one I didn't like too much. I like this one just because it's a little different, the square. And then I made one where I just took the square and turned it into a diamond. So any kind of looping black and white video you make, that's what will generate it. And then this one I believe I got from a post. I think there's a post on there with kind of a Dr. Jekyll and Hyde character. So you can also experiment with masks. And I might post some of these just to make it easier for you to download. But I just thought I would show you that. That's what it is using for that one section for the mask. So what I did was I just took all those masks, I uploaded to my Google Drive, and you see I'm just using the T4 here to run this, so I'm not using a whole lot of computing power, and it's only using 1.8 an hour, so I've got plenty to go. I can, make quite a few of these with the credits I get for my monthly subscription to Google Colab. So it looks like it is done. So let's go ahead and get in here. It might take just a minute to update here. There it is. It's popping up, and there is our looping video. So it'll take just a second here to refresh, and we'll see what we got. And there we go. That's actually not too bad. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and just run it as it is. So I wouldn't recommend, though, clicking all this stuff on. First, run it a couple times like this, and then if you don't like it, actually, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and change the seed just for the heck of it, and I'll show you. So if you don't like it, just go ahead and change the seed. Another thing you can do if you don't like it is you can go over here to our sampler. You can change the sampler type, the steps, that kind of thing. So there's a lot of ways to kind of adjust it if you don't like how it turned out. So I'm just going to go ahead and run this one more time just for the heck of it, just to show you how to adjust it. And the best and easiest way is just change the seed, see if you like it. So this might actually make it worse. We will see. So seeds are great though. Seeds are what control some of the randomness. So if you get a generation you really like, you could save that seed and then maybe just change out one or two of the images. So I really recommend getting familiar with using seeds, not just for this program, but with all things AI. Seeds are a great tool. Okay, I am back and we have our new generation now, and you can see it looks a little bit different. I do actually think I liked the previous one a little better, but this isn't bad. But I'm going to go ahead and change the seed one more time here and do another one. Now, let me also emphasize something. This is just the preview mode. So once we do this and we enable this and the upscaler, it's going to look a lot different. It'll still look the same as far as what's changing, but the detail will be remarkably better, as you will see. And you know what? Actually, I'm just going to go ahead and no, I'm going to change it. I don't like that morph there in the middle, so I'm going to leave it up to the random seed gods again and change the seed a little bit. Come on, Daddy needs a new pair of shoes. Give me a good generation here. Okay, let's fire this one up and we'll come check on it here in a couple of minutes. Doesn't take too long once we get to this stage. Okay, and let's see how this new one looks. Well, except for the kind of cone head there on the bird, it looks all right so far. Yeah, I like this one. I don't like the twin cones there on the bird. That's all right. You know what? Actually, here's something we can do. I'm just going to go ahead and change this. We will, no, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and change this. Let's just change that image. Let's use this weird alien guy here. And let's keep the seed though. And let's try it now, because I like the other one. So this is another thing you can do with seed. If you like all the transitions except for maybe one, maybe just change out that one transition. I'll go ahead and run this, and then we'll see what we got when we return here. Okay, and this should be the last time I change it. Let's see. Yeah, it looks fine. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to unbypass this upscaler. Again, it's better to just kind of run just that preview one at first, just until you're kind of happy with the animation. Another thing you can do is use this. I might get into that later. I don't think I'll do it in this guide. There's already quite a bit in this guide. So I'm just going to unbypass all four of these now. You want all four of these and this as a minimum. You can use the color corrector and sharpener if you want. I prefer to just do this outside of the ComfyUI and the Google. So I'm going to go ahead now and run this. This will take a little while longer now, but you'll see a great difference in the quality here once this is done. Okay, I am back and it has just finished this new version here, which is going to be a lot better. This does take quite a bit longer to render once you do that, but if you notice, so don't worry if you got like, see how bad the eyes look there and everything. Once you do the upscale and you unbypass the other ones, it's going to look a lot better. As you can see, this does. This looks a way better than the original version, but it is still the same animation. So you just kind of use this first animation here to kind of tell what it's going to look like. So obviously if it looks really bad, you know, it might not improve that much, but as far as like eyes, especially facial features, will get a lot better, as you can tell here. So it's still running. It still has two more of these to do. And like I said, this takes quite a bit longer than just doing the one preview mode. So that's why I recommend doing the preview mode like I did, running it a few times, change the seed, maybe change one of the images. And so I'll come back here when this is done, and then we'll do a couple more. Okay, and we have our final one done here, and this probably took, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes total or so once I had it all set up and started running. So this does take quite a bit longer. And you can see by the time it gets done, it does look a lot better than it started off as. And let's go ahead and do another one. So the main things you want to know here is your resolution, because you're going to want to make different resolution sizes. Like for shorts, I want to make a vertical version. So I'm actually, just to kind of refresh you to and show you what I did here, I'm going to go ahead and reverse this again. And again, this is slightly higher resolution than it started off with. I went ahead and used the recommended resolution there for higher video cards. And I'm just going to go ahead and reverse this. You can go a little higher too. I've tried going crazy high, but it crashes. But that was, I still might do that one of these days and turn my, use 10 credits an hour to sample it. But so for now, I'm just going to do that. And then I'm going to go and reverse this so I can make a vertical one for my short, as well as for a canvas if I decide for some crazy reason to actually release the song on DistroKid. But I mean, just making this song for the guide here, it's just kind of a comedy song, but I don't know. Okay, so now I'm going to make this a vertical version. And again, this doesn't really matter too much. It's just going to use a square of these images, but I'm going to go ahead and change them here. We'll go ahead and throw in some fresh images here. Let's see, what do we got here? Let's go ahead and let's use this weird turtle thing here. I might throw the singer back in. Let's put this monster in a jar as well. We got a throne there, a weird kind of throne. Let's go ahead. Actually, let's do the blueprint here. And then I'm going to change one other thing here as well and give kind of a retro lesson here just on samplers. Let's throw this kind of colorful one. I like that silhouette too. Those silhouettes came out pretty. Let's throw this weird thing in as well. And this is what's kind of fun about just making an abstract video. I don't care what I throw in. I can just throw in everything. Okay, so the other thing I'm going to show you here also is don't be afraid to change this, the sampler. You can experiment with this. So the Euler ancestral, or a lot of times it'll be called A, or if you see a sampler with an A after it, what that will do is that will make it more photorealistic. So I'm just going to change this to Euler. I don't know if it's pronounced Euler. Um, I'm going to put it back to Euler, and this will give more of a kind of an artistic render. So let's go ahead and do that, and we can just leave the seed alone since it's all new images anyway. And also, again, we don't want to run this whole thing. I'm just going to bypass all of these again. So practicing this a couple times, because once you start it, you'll have to cancel it and start it again. It'll eat up a lot of valuable time. And I'm going to bypass all the upscale nodes and just keep it down to the bare minimum, which is just this and this. And then I'm going to go ahead and run it. And this should be a vertical this time. Let me just make sure. Yeah, even though I changed that, it's not going to affect this. What's affecting this first preview is just going to be this that I just changed. So let me zoom out again for you and just kind of show you the main areas we're using here for our images. This is for our scale, our initial size of the image. This is our masks, and then we got our seed over here. And then we've got our samplers here. And other than that, just clicking these off and on, that's really all you ever need to mess with. You don't even need to mess with that really, but I'm going to go ahead and start this and we'll see how this one comes out. Okay, and our preview is loading up here. And it just looks kind of like a mess of abstract stuff, which is my fault because that's what I wanted. So that doesn't look too bad. I'm going to go ahead now and go back to the Euler A. Remember we changed that to Euler, and we also see what kind of a difference this makes. Now, also another thing that will make a big difference is the model that you're using. So I'm using, I think, the realistic vision model. No, I'm using absolute reality. There are a ton of models on Civet AI that you can download, and you can experiment with those as well. So there's lots of different ways to change the image, but I'm going to go ahead and let me see. I'm going to get rid of, I think, this one. Yeah, let's go ahead and get rid of that one. And I'm going to put this one in there. Okay, and I'm just going to wait for it to load there. Okay, let's go ahead and queue this up and see how this turns out. Okay, and this one just finished up, and yeah, I like this a lot better. I usually get better results with the Euler Ancestor. Like I said, though, you can play around with those and do whichever one you like, but I'm going to go ahead and upscale this, and I'm just going to do a few more of these, and I might show one more example. If I think of something that I haven't demonstrated yet or something else I need to point out, I might do another one, but other than that, I'm just going to make a few of these and get into the editor. Okay, so this one is about done here. You'll see this one turned out pretty good. I kind of like this. Once it upscales a bit, it really looks a lot nicer. So I'm going to do one more. I'm going to show you one other thing. So like I said, I'm using the default mask right here. So you can see, I'm just going to kind of play this side by side with what it's making so you can kind of see what the mask is doing here in the video. Oops, let me turn on the looper. So you can see those circles echo here in the video, and that's what the mask is creating. So we can make different masks with different effects. Now, it does help though to keep the cohesion here because each circle band here is going to generate that one image where ones that are moving really fast, like this one, it can come out kind of erratic sometimes. So I still think the circle one is about the best one really, even after experimenting, but the square one's nice too, and there's a couple other ones here. This one can get some pretty cool results too sometimes. It just depends on your animation and what it's doing. Let me show you another one though that I modified. I think I'll go ahead and use this one next. So this is one I made that is pretty much just the circle, except instead of continuously ballooning out, you'll see it kind of collapses and starts going in again. So it'll kind of make some kind of interesting movements with that. So I'll go ahead and do that and do a final one here, and I'm going to make this a widescreen video, so I'm going to fix the resolution again. It looks like that one is done. So to change that again, we just go here. Let me zoom all the way out to this big complicated looking thing that is really not so complicated. I hope I have shown here anyway. And what I'm going to do is, let me see, I think it was, yeah, the test it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just copy this here. And of course, if you're on locally, you're not going to be using Google Colab, so you'll just have to put it into your correct folder there, wherever you want your mask. You can really put it anywhere. You just have to link to it correctly here. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to go back to my widescreen instead of the up and down resolution. And then I am going to need to change the upscaler as well. Okay, and then I'm going to pick some new images to do. Could just do the same one since this version is for my short actually, and I kind of like this one. So, and I would recommend not messing with any of this stuff. You can really mess stuff up. There are some notes here on that. If you do want to, go right ahead, but I'm just kind of sticking to what I know here. And yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and render this in the widescreen with the new mask. And let me see. Yeah, I'll go ahead and test it first, actually, just in case it looks really horrible with the new mask and with the widescreen change. So I don't spend a half hour rendering something that I do not like. Okay, so back to the simple one now, and I will come back when this is done, and I think this will be the final one I'll show you. I want to make several more for the video, and ones I don't use in the video I can still just save for later projects, but this is one of my favorite AI video tools right here. Okay, and I am back, and you can see now the difference of the mask. You'll see how it goes in and then kind of goes back out, so it kind of lingers on that one image a little bit. And yeah, I like that. That looks great. At least for what I'm doing, which is just making a weird abstract video about an alien sending us a strange music video. Especially that's not even upscaled once. That'll really add some good detail, I think. So I'm going to go ahead and do this, and I'm going to do a few more of these, and then I will be back with the final editing, and I'll just show you how I edit my videos, which of course you may do it your own way. But anyways, I've shown you all the basics now. I'm going to go ahead and run a few more of these, and then I will be back in the editor. Okay, and here are all my video files. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is, if you notice this one, let me go find a different one. Okay, this one is 1920 by 1080, which is the resolution I'm going to do the video at. So this one, I won't need to do anything. And on some of these other ones, like this one is 960 by 576. So I'm going to go ahead and upscale all the videos that are not set to that resolution. Okay, and now I am back in my video editor, and I just ran it a couple times just to make sure everything was all synced up still and I didn't save it bad or anything. And everything looks good. So now what I'm going to do is just import all of the video files that I just made. And I always make a lot more than necessary. That way I don't have to go back in and do an extra one. I like to do a bunch while I have the ComfyUI up and running and while I'm kind of organizing everything. So I'm going to have a bunch of extra videos left over, and everything I don't use, I'll just put in a folder that I can use for future projects. So the more you do this, the more you kind of build up a library too of stuff you can use. Of course, a lot of it will probably be obsolete here in a couple months when the AI improves like it always does, but that's all right. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is just import every single video file that I made. Okay, so I've gone ahead and imported all those video files that I just made. And I'm going to start it off with one of the best ones. I want to get something kind of eye-catching first, and that'll be this one. I'm just going to put this there, and that'll take up most of that. And then another thing I could do too is just slow this one down a bit so it goes the whole distance. But I'm going to go ahead and just import another one. Okay, that one's all right because it's just kind of plain. A lot of times when you do these image to vid, they don't have very much movement. Okay, so I'm going to put this one there. And I'm just going to speed up this a bit since it doesn't really have a lot of movement anyway. Okay, just a little less. I just want it to go all the way there. Okay, now I'm going to delete this and just slide this down. I just want to make sure not to get this out of sync because these are the important ones. These, it doesn't matter where they are really. So let's just go see how the intro looks. Okay, that looks decent enough. And then what I'll do also is I will put maybe videos on the left and right side or just one side. Anyways, for now, I'm just going to keep adding in these videos that I made. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of do that to all of these, and then once I'm done, I'll come check back in and show the video. Okay, so I've had a slight change of mind for my first one here because I just remembered this one. So the idea of this song was like aliens sending Earth a music video that just doesn't make any sense at all. So I'm going to have this be the first one and then just kind of either do an introductory thing or just kind of explain what's going on with the music and the video. Okay, and just one other thing also that you might want to be careful with doing depending on how your editor is set up. But you want to work from left to right because if I change something over here and then while I'm working on this, maybe this will do something and change the pace a little bit or the tempo. So I'm just going to work from left to right, and then each time I do, I'm just going to confirm that my lip sync is still on. I didn't accidentally set the timing off of it. So if you make a mistake Here, you have to go all the way back maybe to fix it, but if I make a mistake here, then I can just go right here to fix it. So I just work from left to right. That's always a good thing to do, I think, with video editing.
Now that I hear time to pop, I like sleeping chrono pop.